Hello everyone, I'm Tony Chan. Welcome to this number 13, stage 35, grammar trick. So 35 belongs to 1 through 40. So we're talking about content clause within finite clause. So number 35 through 37, there will be about 3 videos covering syntactic analysis of content clause. So for new grammar, content clause can replace traditional grammar for these 3 kinds of clauses, because for traditional grammar, these 3 kinds are functions. They can be applied to phrases, but not to clauses. A clause contains a subject and a verb, and for these 3 kinds of clause, it's not that good. You will understand. So, subordinators and traditional category of subordinating conjunctions. Okay, so subordinating conjunctions of traditional grammar can be divided into 2 types. Subordinators, that, or type 1 if, that's equal to whether. So 1, 2, 3. 3 subordinators. And all the rest of these subordinating conjunctions can be called preposition. So after type 2 if, that's conditional if, or since, though, lot. Those are prepositions of new grammar. So P-class subordinator conjunctions are heads, of course, prepositions. It's always the head of a prepositional phrase, PP. For example, please bring the washing in before it rains, if it rains. So preposition and a clause as its complement. So this whole thing is the prepositional phrase. For new grammar, prepositional phrase. After you arrived was atrocious. So for new grammar, if you apply with deletion, that is, if you can put back which is after you arrived, that is a relative clause. It's behavior which is after you arrived. So we can treat this as a relative clause, adjective relative clause, or adjective clause modified as noun phrase. But you can also treat it like a preposition. So this is a prepositional phrase, modifying this noun phrase. So for new grammar, we treat it like a clause, relative clause, or a prepositional phrase. Why P class belong in the prep class, preposition class. Let's check for new grammar. Preposition can take a clause as its complement, or it can also take a phrase, a noun phrase as its complement. So on, a pure preposition. It can take a noun phrase as its complement, but it cannot take a clause. But for this one, a traditional subordinating conjunctions, but now we can treat it as a preposition. So a preposition can take a clause. So this is a prepositional phrase. And for this one, this preposition cannot take a noun phrase. It can only take a clause. And for this one, the for, it can take a clause or either a noun phrase. This is a prepositional phrase, modifying this noun. So this is the head of a noun phrase. So this preposition is taking the noun phrase as its complement. So the difference in complement, that means whether it's a clause or phrase, it doesn't justify a primary part of speech, that is a category. They should belong to the same category, content clause. So why? Because the prepositional class So we have talked about some of this. And then let's go on. For a verb, let's check. It can take either a clause or a noun phrase. So for this verb, it can take a clause, but not a noun phrase. But for this verb, it can take a noun phrase, but not a clause. That means illegal. That means illegal. So that's still a verb. Yeah, some of it can only take a clause. Some of it can only take a noun phrase, but that's fine. They're still called a verb. So it's the same for a preposition. So a preposition can take either a clause or a noun phrase. And how about their dependents? The modifiers. Okay, noun phrase modifying this phrase. And within the phrase is a clause as a complement for the prep. And this is, again, prepositional, a typical prepositional phrase because it's taking a noun phrase as its complement. And again, noun phrase acting as a adjunct or a modifier, modify this phrase. And for another preposition, okay, a clause, yeah, an adverb. Adverb can modify phrase. Adverb can work, can be working. Adverb can be working as an adjunct, modifying phrase. Sure. So pure phrase, typical phrase, adverb. Yep. Noun phrase working as an adjunct, modifying a phrase. Phrase with a noun as its complement. Phrase with a clause as its complement. So let's analyze, provided that, in order that. So preposition and that, content clause. Let's check. Provided that, content clause. And this that is a subordinator. So it's not that important. Not that important. So that milk, you help me, yeah. Yes, a clause. Except that a clause, traditionally we would treat it as a adverb clause, but now it's a content clause. A preposition taking a that content clause, and this preposition is acting as a adjunct, purpose adjunct, another adjunct, prepositional phrase as an adjunct. Yeah, notwithstanding taking a that clause as an adjunct, a supplementary adjunct because it's outside of the main clause, supplementary adjunct. So complex head, provided that, no, simple head would be correct, provided that you help me, or provided you help me. That is optional for this word, for this preposition. And there are reasons why the subordinator that belongs to the second part. Let's check if you use coordinator and, well, that and that. Yeah, first clause, second clause. So that is not closely related with this. So this is not the head of this, but this clause is the head of this subordinator. The second proof, that is admissible. Yeah, provided you help me. Third proof, in order can also take to infinitive. So in order is a constituent. In order is a constituent. That is quite independent, and it belongs to the clause, the content clause. Let's check. In order, taking that content clause, in order taken to infinitive for the subject, or to infinitive, or pure to infinitive. And let's check, for example, for this adjective, essential. This essential adjective can take a that colon clause, so it's essential that the baby have milk. It's essential that, yep. And also, it's essential to say food for the baby. Or this to infinitive can carry its own subject. It's essential for the baby to have milk. So this is a to infinitive with its own subject. If a to infinitive is having its own subject, of course the noun phrase must be after for. And this for part must be before the to infinitive. And this whole thing, this is the head, is taking a subject. So this whole thing is a to infinitive. Notwithstanding that, colon clause as its complement, notwithstanding the delay in the closing, so it's a noun phrase as its complement. So a prep can take a that colon clause or a noun phrase. And when this preposition is taking a noun phrase as its complement, it can be after the noun phrase. It can be after the noun phrase. And then acting as an external supplementary adjunct for this main clause. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next minor tree.